Alright, go ahead and enable that now.
Alright.
You want to do that, Suze?
Yep, I'm already there.
Alright, everyone ready?
Yep.
Alright guys, welcome to the first, well, technically second, but first real C4DC podcast where we talk about Destiny and nothing but, otherwise known as the podcast the isometric perspective could not wait for us to come up with. I am your host, Grindhead Jim. With me is Dharma Wolf, Grant Beard, and Bennett Fiasco. How you doing, guys and gal?
Hello.
Hey.
Doing. It's like you and I just got done doing something like a podcast, Jimmy.
I can't comment on that right now. But have your people call my people. Yeah.
Okay.
We do that.
Get
Yeah.
right on that so we can figure this situation out.
Will we get to that? Is that what you're saying?
Oh, get out.
Like we read about.
Oh, dude, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Oh, okay. So
That can't have been the only podcast that spun its wheels in that ruled universe.
no, but I'm just saying, things. There have been a few podcasts that went the way of the dodo. The one that I find the most detrimental, being the classiest fucking podcast ever, which was a lot of fun. But I drink less now, and it's harder to get a group of people together like that. So, that one went the way of the dodo. The thing was whole predicated on me drinking a lot and then just yelling things into the mic. It worked out well, but, whatever. So here we are. Basically what we're going to be doing on this podcast is talking about things, Destiny things from a fan perspective. I'm not going to sit here and try to be more console or any of the other guys that, analyze the game and want to talk industry insider bullshit. Like, I'm not here to give you guys Destiny news. Let's talk about how we feel about stuff and our strategies and, because I'm not going to be one of those guys that beat regular normal mode for Crota without using a single firearm, only grenades, supers, and melee attacks. I'm not that guy. I'm not going to try and tell you how to do that. I'm here to tell you, hey, I found good luck doing this. Or I've done that, or that fucking sucks. So, I thought that since it's been in the news so much lately, and I've already kind of put my opinion out about the leak aspect of it, I thought we might talk about our wish list for House of Wolves. How do you guys feel about that?
Overall, I think that the Dark Below is a very good indicative point of where that's going to sit. That is the Dark Below, I should say, is the precursor to, I think, what Destiny is going to start being great off of. I'd hate to use this in that term, but I think that's about right. Let's be frank, overall, a lot of things that Destiny has done and is doing is in a very, very weird point. It is in a spot that essentially needs to say, what do we need to do to make the customers that we already have happy, and what do we need to do to attract more people? Well, the easy idea behind that is to learn from what the Dark Below has done wrong and what it has done right, which is what any expansion should be, but in short, that's about what it feels like needs to happen.
One could argue that the things that's done right and wrong are kind of the same things. On one hand, if you were new to the game or you just picked it up, you were able to jump right in and be competitive as well as useful pretty quickly. But at the same time, because they failed to give any love to the Vaulted Glass stuff, it alienated a lot of longtime players. So as long as I think that, as a system-wide thing, if they're, cognizant of that, which they've proven in the recent interviews from NeoGAF that they are, I think we're going to be fine. And I definitely really don't have any worries there. I hope that we see much needed upgrade possibilities for all raid gear and weapons. But and when I say that, I don't just mean light level. In the terms of Vaulted Glass, I was telling you during the other podcast that I'd gotten a lot more Atheon armor last week, and I immediately sharded it because I looked at the attributes and I went, "This is useless. There was no reason to have that armor other than to be a level 30. That's it."
Right.
It didn't even look that great. It's embarrassingly stupid. And I just went, well, I don't need this.
That's what really is a problem with a lot of itemization that I'm running into with even the Dark Below as well. What they're really instituting now with like Crota Hard mode are the primaries that have attributes attached to them. They needed to do that shit so long ago it's not even funny. And of course you've had a few things with like Vision of Confluence, that great scout rifle from Volta Glass, and a couple others that are primaries that have elements attached, but bring the itemization more to the forefront, and then make the armor actually consequential to what you use with your weaponry. Because right now, I would really argue to say there's only a couple of very good multipliers on any armor that make any sense whatsoever to even think to keep. I was telling Bennett a bit ago, too, in terms of the Warlock class, which I have 3 of, because I'm that guy. You have... I was looking over, like, the faction vendors, and all of their stuff, of course, is admittedly for, like, the Crucible and whatnot, but it's laden with strength and with a little bit of intellect. There's very little discipline to be had in any of the parts on any of those. And then you end up going to like the Vanguard vendor and it's the same idea. There's very little discipline to be found on any of the sets of armor. And the only other way to end up getting some discipline on the gear that I'm trying to get is to basically run Crota's End till I bleed tears out of my eyes or decide to just rip them out and be done with it.
Right, because the reroll is completely random, and like I have, because right now I have full raid gear for all 3 characters, and I say that with the exception of the helmet because you guys know I run exotic helmets all the time, unless I'm in the raid proper and at the end and I use Ruin Wings. But all 3 of my armor sets are a little bit different. I got one that's only got strength multipliers, and I kind of went, okay, I'm going to have to mix and match them once they're all maxed. Figure out, a proper set for each character, and then kind of go from there. But luckily, the actual properties of them otherwise are identical, which is nice. But having to figure out which is a real pain. There has to be a way where you can, because I've heard a lot about Reforge, and I really don't see it in practice. You can do an Iron Banner, and that's it. That's retarded. You should be able to reforge anything, anytime. I shouldn't have to get it and drop again.
Just use it like Glimmer, like they do it in World of Warcraft, honestly. And the reason that I really bring up World of Warcraft on any discussion with Bungie and Activision and Blizzard are all pretty much underneath the same kind of fan. They don't necessarily work with each other that closely, but they are technically the same company. They can each pick up things that the other can do. And Blizzard has had the idea of reforging now for a long time. The problem is that they're also looking to get rid of it because of the stats that essentially are too confusing to end up working with. You don't have that problem here with Destiny, long story short. There's simple stats, and you can basically change it between using, say, strength to discipline, and just alter how much you end up getting with it. Or be able to basically distribute it in different manners. Just, they already have the system in place that can reduce the amount of discipline, strength, or intellect that you get on a piece of gear by having, say, 2 stats on there instead of just 1. Like, I have 102 intellect on my 1 pair of gloves. I have 56 strength and 52 discipline on another. So they have a system in place that is smart enough to realize what it needs to do to make those weapon sets work and make them balance. So they already have that system in place. The fact they're not using it is crazy.
Right. And the thing is, what gets really frustrating is when you have a piece of armor that has the perfect, intellect, discipline, strength attributes, but then is carry extra ammo for a weapon I don't fucking use. So when you,
Exactly.
Yes.
when you talk reroll, let me reroll certain things. Like say, like kind of like have a checkbox. Like, what am I rerolling here?
It's like what they. Yeah.
And have a complete reroll cost less than a partial reroll. Meaning, in other words, you want it to cost more to be customizable. So I'm okay with that. I will farm for whatever it is you need me to farm for to make those rerolls happen the way I want them to. But you gotta give me the option. However, you have to implement that, but I have to have that option. For this to, go 10 years, fuck, dude. Like, I can't stress that enough.
They're really going to have to do something with upcoming content because what some of the complaints that I've heard from other people that I know that played this game is, holy crap, you're doing the same bounties over and over and over again for the grind. Like, after a certain point, there's just nothing new. That's something that they're going to have to work on if they want this to last.
Well, and I think that's going to kind of come with what the leaked rumored DLC plan is. The rumored DLC plan is to have 4 DLCs of the size of the current Dark Below and the House of Wolves, and then one huge one on the year anniversary of the game, which is supposed to be close to the amount of content that the original game had in it. And with the new quest system and a couple other things, the thing that people complain about the repetition or want to forget is that every time you add new content, which we have at a minimum, I would say 2 more DLCs after House of Wolves of the same size. That much I have no doubt in my mind. Every time you do that, you start focusing on that new stuff, and then the stuff that you were really bored with and it was repetitive, that becomes new again. It becomes fresh. And bounties kind of switch up a little bit. And I'm going to be honest, when it comes to bounties, I'm glad that some of those repeat because it means that I know how to do them. They're relatively easy. I can get them done over with. When I have to grind, I'm not necessarily looking for variety in the bounty. I'm looking for ease and speed of which I can achieve it. Like, I don't mind being repetitious as long as it's useful for me. It's those bounties that take way too long for way too little. When the Dark Below came out, you guys remember, I was so unbelievably pleased with the fact that the Dark Below now gave us another destination for bounties, and some of them were easier to do and gave us more experience points as a result. And I was really scared that when I got to level 4 with Eris Morn, that I maxed her out, that I wouldn't be allowed to get the bounties anymore, and thank fuck I could. So there's already more variety than there was in the beginning, which I'm grateful for, but I agree that it needs to continue, and hopefully at a higher rate for this to really take off the way that we all want it to.
In the same,
right? I think even if they were to shorten the time frame for the reset, or just make sure that they were able to be intertwined a little bit more, I mean, they can still have variety, and we're talking a little bit more about what we tried to talk about last time, which is getting them to work together so that it makes sense to do them.
Mm-hmm.
That would be crucial.
Yeah, definitely, because when I go on a bounty run, I don't want to spend all day. I want to spend maybe an hour or 2, and I want to be done, And that's if I'm by myself. I'm with people, 1 hour tops. I don't want to have to sit there and fuck around all day. And today is the first day I even had the chance to really sit down and do bounties the way I want to. The last 2 days have been just real quick, grab the quickest ones possible, run, get some XP to upgrade A or B weapon, and that's it. Today, because I already did do 2 full runs, I kind of had a luxury of time until this evening. And then as soon as I would finish with the raid, I said, hey guys, thanks a lot, but I'm out of here. I'm done. I need to take a break from worrying about other people's needs, and I just need to worry about mine. Right now, my needs are upgrade the weapon I've got, get my armor upgraded, do some bounties, do some podcasts, and have a beer. being in a clan, and technically 2 clans, it's really easy to get caught up in whatever. And some of the guys in the clan have been smart enough, and my hat's off to them. But they're like, look, you're a raid leader. Once you're done, you're under your obligation to get crews together. If you want to do people favors, that's fine. But we'll back you up once you've got what you need. Because when you're getting what you need, you're helping other people. And if people are helping you just to help you, that's great, but that's on them. So don't feel guilty and all that other shit. The same can be said for bounties. We help each other all the time. And that works out well. I've never had a situation where someone says, well, you gotta do that bounty, fuck you, I'm not helping you, or, hey, I'll be right back, or, it's pretty good, but, you have to, with any kind of grind, with any kind of gain you're gonna get in this game, you've gotta be able to have an honest look at what you really need. And that's kind of like where my, inventory consolidation came from, because I was just spinning my wheels for a long time, and I wasn't seeming to get anywhere with my weapons or my armor. Very frustrating. And so now I've got one arsenal to worry about. And some characters I might start splitting it up between characters, depending on what my playstyle is going to be on that day, and then have weapons that are only on, they're for everybody. I'm not there yet, but I probably will, unless they go, what I call full retard with the vault, unless I have as much as you want in there, I'll be really happy. Because then I can just keep everything in the vault, and I'll just take out what I want, Because one feature I desperately want, make it so it's possible for me not to carry any weapons, but have carrying weapons be a requirement to go to any mission. In other words, let me go to the tower, drop off all my weapons, and then, because that way I'm keeping extra weapons I don't want or need, just so I have the space taken care of. It's stupid.
I'm gonna say with 3 locks, it's, keep a set of green gear hanging around and you can pick it back and forth between them, and instead of just having like a base set of armor or something like that, you gotta keep something extra, which just ends up chewing up slots, which are already, I would say, pressed for. I don't often run into inventory issues within Destiny, but it is something that, especially with my weapons getting as full as they are in certain slots, especially with specials, it fills up quick.
Okay, I've got it all.
The heavy weapons are kind of in the same boat for me right now with how many rocket launchers I can carry in one damn shot.
And they've been seeding Earth for centuries, waiting
But they
for
have to
the gods to
do
return.
some kind of system, I would say, that is
Let's get out
similar
of here.
to, somewhat similar, I would almost say, to like a Final Fantasy or a Guild Wars 2, like take hints and tricks from that. I don't know, it's more of a open system, if you will. You, especially with like with Final Fantasy 14, because you can literally change your weapon class and everything else changes along with it in a heartbeat, and you have a lot of inventory slots on you. Period. Like you start with 100, so
nice.
Whole different idea. I wouldn't want to have 100 slots in this game, because that also includes that you would have to, have that many different items that would need to be included with it too. And I definitely do not want it to be that way, because then you would desperately need the one thing that I still say they need in this game, which is a good tutorial. I cannot say enough that when I started playing Destiny, I had no idea what the hell was going on. And I'm pretty sure there's a lot of people in this game that still don't know what the hell's going on. They don't know that they have to like hover over spots to actually like read what's going on or know what their stats do.
I really didn't have an issue with that, but then again, I come from a very long MMO experience and console platform gaming experience, so I can see where if you're like brand new to the whole concept that might be a learning curve, but I really didn't have any issues with that.
Then again, though, you also bought Destiny after 2 solid weeks of watching streams, So
Yeah, but I was only watching. I wasn't watching when you were in your character screen. Like I would tab out and go do something else because that didn't interest me.
Oh, hassle.
Well, let's
Like
see.
I actually didn't realize until just a few minutes ago that the level number displayed next to somebody's name when you get close enough to them is their light level. It has nothing. Like 20 is the maximum level.
Guardians,
Right.
So there's no like.
too much trouble. I could use a few things from this location.
Do you see what I'm saying? I didn't realize that was their light level and not their level.
And that's kind of what I mean by, having that good tutorial in there. Because if you're just finding stuff like that out now, versus essentially having something within the game I am all for figuring stuff out on your own. I need to make that 100% clear now. But in a game like this, where it heavily is stat-based, you can't necessarily have that. That is a trouble spot. That is an issue that you need to kind of pave out so that everybody can essentially know and be on the same terms. This is what is going on. And if you end up skipping the tutorial, then that's on you, because you just ended up skipping the one thing that told you everything that needed to be done with your character, with the game, or so on.
And yet you can't skip cutscenes.
Right.
I think my biggest concern with the inventory and the way that the items are working is that this is going to turn into a Borderlands. Like, I don't want this to be about loot. Like, I know that we sit here and we grind day after day and we try to get, like, Jim, you said earlier you're probably going to, try and get this one other thing in Quotidian and then go back to Vault of Glass and search for the Galahorn.
Yep.
I like that there is a limited inventory, just for the fact that it's not forcing the creators to oversaturate the game with just bullshit weapons.
I think that the inventory, I think that there should be the capability, because I got a buddy, his name's Cody, he is a collector. He wants everything just to have it. And if you don't limit the weapon types, he's never going to have his collection. He'll be really frustrated for a long time. So I really, truly believe that it's a smart move to limit the number of weapons. I think it's just a matter of, let me customize those weapons a little bit. Like, I have a this with this, but when you say Galahorn, everyone knows what that is. When you say Light of the Abyss, just about everyone knows what that is. And that's the beauty of it. Because there are some cool weapons in Borderlands and everything, and I've heard some great stories about it. But, I don't know. I like the fact that there's personality and there's stories attached to this arsenal and this armor. I agree completely. I just think that within the confines of that, we should have the ability to collect as many as we want. Have the ability to customize them as much as we want. I think that shaders should apply to sparrows. I think shaders should apply to weapons if we desire. There should be a little tick mark. Apply shader or no. Things like that. And why can't I use one shader on my armor, one shader on my sparrow, and one shader on my weapons? Why can't I do that? That's retarded. I should be able to do that. All this, marketing that was said, oh, hey, everyone's going to be unique. How'd you get that? I haven't done that yet. Not once. Not once have I gone, ooh.
Well, if you want to go that route, why can't you use one shader on your arms, one shader on your chest plate, et cetera, and fully customize what you're looking at?
And why in the
approach?
And why in the ever-living mother of fuck are exotics non-shadable? Because they make them look like eyesores. I have to experiment so much just to get something that doesn't look like my mother forgot to dress me. Okay? It's embarrassing. Going to battle looking like a fucking clown.
I have to agree. You pretty much have to make your shader match your exotic.
Mm-hmm.
Which is, a little bit of what I would just say is horse shit.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I have
for
seen,
as much as
I
love
have seen
Thunder,
quite a bit of that.
Yeah, for as much as I love, what is it, Thunderlord or whatever it is, I'm so tired of it. So tired of having that one. And knowing that, well, I've got that one now. That's what I'm using forever.
Yep.
I've gotten lucky.
That's the big thing, though, that I and Jimmy, you and I had kind of talked about this earlier a little bit, that they need to work on itemization a bit more within the game. And that is something that I think, needs to be worked on. We all know, oh, this is a Galahorn. Well, that's great that we all know what a Galahorn is, but how many people can actually get the things? They need to either allow for weapons that are going to drop the same kind of stats, or have something fairly similar. There's weird stuff that applies to all of what Bungie is doing, and I think it all just comes down to most of the simple points that they don't know how to itemize a lot of their gear to make it more or less specific and allow for it to actually be used on different classes in different ways with different subs and so on. It takes away from this whole thing that I think all of us in this chat room have the same kind of passion for, and that's customization with our character.
Exactly. I was just about to bring up, I've played a lot of other games that offer socketed armor. For instance, your armor has a socket that you can add something that will give it a different statistic. So, say if I have a piece of armor that has 18 intellect on it, I can also add something to it in that socket to give it, 20 discipline. So it's got both of those on there.
Or to boost that one, so you can go heavy intellect. Like, yeah, I think I've made the comparison before, but especially because of how grindy this is starting to be, and how, that's not really new to a lot of us, because I played a boatload of Diablo 2 and Diablo 3, like, a lot.
The grind is real.
I have no problem, for real, I have no problem with that. My problem is when there's nothing to be done with it. When it's just, okay, that's it. Right? How many times did you run bail runs just because you might get something neat in Diablo 2?
Right.
And, at this, though, it's hard to say, well, here's where you're going to get this, and you know that it's the perfect because, and it's just, it's not quite as rewarding, it just needs to be a little more rewarding.
Yeah, and that's the same idea as, what they've been doing with Diablo 3 as well. Like, Diablo 3 had a lot of problems that they needed to work out or on and make it more plain freaking fun.
I'll let the city know we got it all.
And the way that they did that was actually give your character more customization, more ability to do so. And transmogs, yep. I gotta say, you were using a lot of the stuff that Blizzard had introduced with World of Warcraft years ago that actually still in a very similar playstyle kind of game. It's grindy, you got a lot of dungeons, you have your daily bonuses, you have your daily bounties, literally they are called bounties. That was the stuff that they needed to work on to make it more accessible, and not to make it feel quite as much of a grind, but also introduce it in different ways. They had the Nephilim rifts that they introduced, and that made everything feel different and more of a challenge. So just by adding an extra couple of play modes, things are different. And that's what I think Bungie needs to also kind of figure out. You need different play modes or different styles to make things work for different people. We all do not follow the same styles of gameplay, period. It just doesn't happen.
Right, and make what we do have scalable, so that we can get Vault of Glass armor that makes sense in a post-Crota's End world.
Which, to be fair, it does sound like that's something they're looking to do. The day that Vision of Confluence becomes upgradable, the day that Vex Mythoclast becomes upgradable, I know at least 3 people that are going to come back with open arms. I got sold this copy of Destiny over Vision of Confluence. Now, I love a lot of weapons in this game, and I gotta be honest, there's not one I love enough to leave the game over. And the guy's like, why are you grinding in Destiny all day? It's just going to be useless. I'm like, what are you doing? Oh, I'm grinding in Grand Theft Auto 5. Oh, you mean for those heists that haven't been dropped yet? Well, yeah. Okay, have fun. Enjoy that. I'll be over here having fun with better gunplay and people I can tolerate, thanks.
Right.
You
Cause,
mentioned people having different styles of playing, and I think that some of the effort that they need to put in is offering more options instead of, one particular weapon being the be-all, end-all of, damage that you want in a raid. Okay, well, maybe I prefer to use a different kind of weapon, so there needs to be something else that is just as good that will adapt to other people's playing styles.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And that actually comes down to another, drastic point that I have found too when it comes to itemization. There's a big failure that Bungie has right now, and it is that all of the, I shouldn't say all of, but pretty much every single situation I've run into would basically call that if you use a shotgun in a raid, then you're an idiot. That's basically what it feels like every single time I run in with a shotgun. Or try to use a close-range weapon of almost any kind.
Unless you are in the part of Vault of Glass where you are doing the oracles and you're up close. Then it's awesome.
But how many people are running Vault of Glass right now outside of maybe a couple? And
a fair amount, actually.
In anything in terms of the current content for Crota, forget it. If I run in with a shotgun, I may as well just stand up against Crota and be like, hey, how you doing? If I don't have a rocket launcher that's leveled up to maximum, then there is 0 point in me running in there at all. If I do not have a decent sniper rifle or a decent fusion rifle, I miss out on a lot of possibilities for damage.
And this is why I'm about to blow your mind. I have been and always shall be looking for different ways, because when I first met Cody, he was one of these guys, and a lot of people are like this, mind you, where they were really hung up on Gallahorn. The reason they were hung up on Gallahorn is because of if you know you're getting, 2 Gallahorn hits per character per run, you don't have to worry about DPS so much. And for the uninitiated, DPS means damage per second, which I didn't know that until 2 weeks ago, which I think is retarded. But whatever, it's a thing. So DPS. Now,
it is a thing.
Yeah, now given that, what we found on all the runs we've done, I've run Crota a minimum, Crota himself, I've done successful runs at least a dozen in the last 2 weeks alone. Okay, and then to get to those successful runs, I'm easily 3 dozen or more. Okay, just experimenting with different things. You're able, if you have enough time, which is usually on every first drop of Crota, you can drop in with nothing but auto rifles. You don't need to fire a single fucking rocket. You don't. And if you have one person running a high rate of fire, doesn't matter the impact, high rate of fire auto rifle, just to keep the impact going, so he doesn't have the opportunity to raise his shields back up, a couple rockets will do the trick. Even if there's no Gallahorns. If you've got like Hunger or Crota or Dragon's Breath or Truth, it's just as good. I've even used on several runs my legendary Arc Cluster, The Cure, and it works just fine. It's all in how you combine your resources and communication. There's been an emphasis on rocket launchers, and you hear it in the chat, and it gets really annoying. But I decided to stick with those guys because I wanted to A, prove a point, and B, I knew I could get far with them. And thankfully, my patience has been rewarded because we were able to experiment and find other strategies, other weapons that work, and people that are flexible with it. So those of you that are still out there insisting on all Gallahorn runs, and are turning away people that don't have Gallahorn, you can suck my cock and eat my fucking ass, because it isn't about that. It helps a lot, but it's not necessary. I've got the videos to prove it. Eat it.
In the same, though, we've mentioned, you can get around a lot of those, and I would say even like a machine gun with some good stability, you can do the same exact thing as like that, having a good auto rifle. Auto rifles are key in a lot of this. Pulse rifles with good impact are key in a lot of the later stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Hand
See,
cannons
that's another thing that would be
are
very
really...
easy to customize.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, definitely. But, I mean, hand cannons, shotguns, these are weapons that we're finding are not that useful within the higher raid content. And I definitely, going through Vault of Glass those couple times that I did with you, I found myself using invective almost every chance I could and loving the fact that I could actually use it.
Mm-hmm.
I get to Crota's End, I will put invective on for the bridge, and that's about the only time I ever could. Because if I were to change weaponry mid-fight, then I end up putting myself in jeopardy for ammo. I can't
Right.
help with boomers as much. I can't help with going ahead and maneuvering around for different ads.
Sure.
I can't help for most of the other stuff for fusion rifles, so on. And that hurts a lot, which I think is one thing that might end up helping him, actually. All of us, I think, carry like multiple sniper rifles, multiple auto rifles, multiple rocket launchers. If you're changing between types, do not penalize me for the fact that I am changing between a rocket launcher to a rocket launcher and I lose heavy ammo.
Right, and that is something they just addressed in the blog the other day. They're working on that.
Yeah, and not even just heavy ammo, though. Shotguns or hand cannons or anything. I have multiple weapon types of each of them because of certain circumstance, which is another thing that I still feel they need to work on within this whole entire game as a whole, is this idea of circumstance. If I'm going to go into Bolted Glass, then things are going to be weak towards like Void and Arc. Then I'm going to take those weapons with me. Well, we're going to have this one guy that's in here that's going to be weak to solar, so I hope you brought your solar guns. Thanks. Now I need to have 3 types of each of them going in with me. Which is not a, unfeasible thing to have happen, but it is annoying when it ends up being like mid-encounter. And,
Yes.
Thank God for something like Icebreaker, which does replenish ammo. Otherwise, considering how ammo has been dropping, which I know they've addressed, it would be near impossible to end up getting anywhere.
You heard it here first, folks.
And that's how you know Grant made a hell of a point.
I know, no one has anything to say. We're just like, yeah.
All right. All right, man. Hell yeah.
Yep, and there you have it, and that's it.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to say that I don't, absolutely love this game to death, but, Jimmy and Bennett, you both know I've got my gripes with this game of recent, for sure. Like, there are problems galore that I still feel they need to address big time. The biggest, I still feel, is going to end up being the itemization. As soon as they get the itemization on lockdown, I'm sold. I have no problems. But right now, when people are running around going, well, you need a Galahorn, dear Bungie, if people are going to go around and be like, we need a Galahorn, make it available once every couple of months, never just at the beginning of the game, and then only in a Vault of Glass raid that no one generally, I tend to find, has ran anymore, outside of the fact that just to do that.
Or make it so it's not so niche. Make it so that other things are feasible. And as Jim said earlier, there are other things that are feasible, but come on. Make them a little closer to usable and worthwhile.
Right.
Well, and something else that just occurred to me is specializations. They don't offer weapon specializations, which is really kind of a cool thing if you've ever played a game that does that. Because say I want to be just, awesome with sniper rifles. I should be able to specialize in their use to get more damage, that kind of thing.
Sort of a la Mass Effect.
Exactly.
Acknowledged. Goodbye, Guardian.
Yes, I could definitely see that. I'm shocked with the amount of weapons, actually, that Bungie has available to them, that they haven't done something like that. In the same, if it comes down to PvP and you end up using your character for PvP and you're not specialized for shotguns, then what are you thinking?
Well, that's one of those things where you kind of have to balance things out, Maybe you have more than one character, and you have one PvP character and one raid character, which I know a lot of people do in a lot of these games.
Or they make it MLG accessible, if you will, and basically cut out any and all of that and actually give a balanced playing field. Now, that would be a shocking thought.
Yes, one of the things that that I have seen done so badly in a lot of MMOs is when it comes to they either invest so much in the story aspect of it that the PvP suffers, or they invest so much in the PvP that the story suffers. There's really no game that I have played like this that has been balanced at all.
Right.
This is about as close as I've seen, to be perfectly fair to Destiny. I've seen way worse. I would go so far as to say that between, the idea that your classes carry from place to place, and there is armor that's specific to the Crucible, there is armor specific to the Raid, there's armor specific to PvE. That alone is a huge step forward. And again, the stories, the PvE stuff is replayable in a meaningful way that can directly affect your Crucible build or your Raid build. You know what I mean? So, and vice versa. Like right now, I'm running Crucible right now because I need a bounty. I need to unlock a perk on Misty's Defender class because her agility wasn't there in the last run and I was ready to throw my controller. I don't do that. I actually had someone say during the raid, Jim, I've never heard you upset before. Are you okay? Like I was like, all right, guys. I started to yell. I'm like, all right, I'm going to tell you before I finish saying what I'm going to say. Not one of you better tell me to calm down or something like that. Just, I don't get upset. I don't get upset. Let me have it. It'll pass. And thankfully they did.
Well, and there's something else to be considered, and I'll be the person that brings up World of Warcraft again, because I always thought that this was something that they did well, was offering the ability to dual specialize. You could have one set of ability points, going towards one specialization, and you have the ability to swap those specializations.
Wasn't that kind of what they're doing with the subclasses in a way?
In a way, but
it is, yeah.
But you would have talents, you would have glyphs, you would have a lot of other things that end up helping with that to go a little bit more forward with that specialization. Like glyphs.
What I'm referring to, or what I'm talking about, is say, I want to continue as a striker titan. Like, that's my thing, that's what I want to do. But I would like to specialize in shotguns, but for raid purposes, I really need to be specialized in, like, pulse rifles or something like that. What I'm talking about is the ability to swap those on the same character, so that you don't have to create different characters just for different specializations.
Well, at this point, you don't really have to do that, because what I'm talking about right now is that I want all the builds to be identical when I'm running, multiple characters of the same class. If you think about the way many people, not all, but many people run characters, it's basically they run all 3 classes with all 6 subclasses, and there's your specialization. That's I suppose the intention, but if those characters types don't suit your playstyle, you're kind of fucked. So one of the things I want to see out of future DLC is not just one new subclass for each. Give me a couple choices. Give me the ability to swap them out. So, for example, I want Striker available on all 3 of my characters. And I'm pretty sure I'm going to want Defender on all 3 of my characters, right? Because those are useful right now. But if you give me, 3 new subclasses for Titan, and I've got 3 Titans, I can run one of each on all my other characters. You know, that's the kind of thing I'm talking about too. Like, give me that much more choice. You know, because I don't like the idea necessarily of, and again, this comes from just the way I play. And I would say that there's a lot that does cater to, you know, different play styles, but like Susan's saying, like you guys are saying, there's more that can be done for sure. I just keep looking at the empty subclass slot and I go, well, what else could we get here? You know, give me something that gives me a bit more area damage. Give me something that, give me something where it's Defender-esque in that it can be used in that way. Give me a subclass that is equal parts offensive and defensive. Like, give me a special that can do both, you know. I'm not sure what that would be. I don't know. But I'm curious. I want to see what they come up with, you know?
The only thing they could possibly do for like a Titan, in my mind, would be to mix in with like a gunslinger and a Voidwalker. Kind of mesh those two together.
Mm-hmm.
Make it more of a long-range Titan instead of a close-in protective or close-in striker-type Titan.
Great idea.
I would love that. I would actually love that quite a bit.
Yeah. And that's where, you know, they need to play through the playstyles a bit more, because I enjoy the Warlock as it is now, but would like a Warlock to also be, you know, more of a melee heavy, high armored class as well. And I know I wouldn't get that specifically, but they could also make it so that talents could also affect that a little differently. Like I've been trying to do for a little while now with the Warlock, using things like Lifesteal on my energy drain, or using Flame Shield instead of Brimstone, or something like that. Some of it makes sense, and some of it is just like, why are you even thinking to try that? Because you know it's not going to be, you know, DPS oriented, and they don't necessarily have the Holy Trinity. If you guys are familiar with that term, of like tank, DPS, and healer, but they have pointed out specifics that make it feel like that does exist within this game. Like there is the long range class, or the meant to be long range class of the Warlock. There is the melee class, or meant to be the melee class of the Hunter, and then there is the tank, which is basically meant to be the Titan. Done. You know, they're still pointing out that same kind of idea and concept. It is still there in practice, not as much.
Yep, I very much agree, and I agree with the third
subclass.
You know, the third, yes. I completely lost it there for a second. I agree with the third subclass because it just, you know, it makes sense if the slot is there, put something there, but it also makes sense to give you more choice in what you want to do with your character. If you want to be a long-range character, if you want to, you know, punch things in the face as a warlock, you should be able to do that.
I already do that fairly well, I would like to point out, but I would love to actually have something that says, hey, you can actually do it and it makes sense now.
Yeah.
Sense. What do you think this is? Borderlands?
Borderlands doesn't make sense at all. What are you talking about?
That was the joke.
There's some crazy suckers in there.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, crazy motherfuckers.
Indeed.
I'm excited to see what happens with the app at this point. I remember your guys' point of reference seems to be WoW a lot. Mine is more of the Diablo side of things, where you would have your Magic Find gear and your DPS gear, and being able to swap between those, or have, you know, okay, you know, you're going into Vault of Glass and you're going to have the Void and Arc. Let's have my Void build out, my Arc build out, ready to go.
Mm-hmm.
So you could swap, and
And the mobile apps are definitely a way to do that. It's a way of replacing, hotkeys that you would have in a PC-based game. It's something I've always talked about. Like, I would love to be able to designate 2 helmets or 2 weapons for that sort of thing, and then have like a hotkey where I hold this, do this, and the reason I know it'll work is because Bungie programmed that in the remote play controls. So on the Vita, because you don't have L3 or R3, they had a really nice way of solving a lot of problems. So for example, in order to sprint, you normally click R3, right? Well, how do you do that without any clickable thumbsticks? Well, you press up on the thumbstick and you tap down on the directional pad, which on paper sounds stupid, but on the Vita, because of the placement, it's perfect. It feels better, honestly, than using L3 because it's reliable. And for the emotes, all you have to do is you hold down the left on the D-pad and then use the directional button that corresponds to the direction on the D-pad that you would use in regular game. Really intuitive once you learn it. And I'm like, why can't we do that in the game? Why can't I just do hot swap? Let me hold, left on the D-pad, or right on the D-pad, and then assign hot swappable weapons to the 4 face buttons. Why can't I do that? Like, that's amazing.
Well, and the whole point of like hotkeys and whatnot is to kind of make you think about how you need to like swap your sets out or anything like that. So for you to do something like really weird on the controller wouldn't be necessarily unheard of or out of place. I would expect it. Like, one of the best examples of that I can really give is Monster Hunter on the PSP. If none of you have played it, then you don't know what I'm talking about, and this is a completely wasted analogy. But the biggest thing that ends up coming out of it, basically figure it this way. The old PSP had the thumbstick down on the bottom. You had the D-pad basically right on top of that, but the left trigger actually controlled like centering the camera. And you would, and actually it was for also changing your, inventory items as well. So you've got 3 things that you need to do pretty much on the fly at any given point. Basically, hold your fingers like you would a 3-pronged claw, and that's how you would hold the PSP whilst playing Monster Hunter. It was so difficult to actually master and do, that the people that would actually do it, like myself, for about 800 hours, it happens. The whole point I'm trying to make, though, is it is not an unheard of idea to have to do that and make key items or key swaps have that happen on a controller. It's I don't like it, but it is definitely something that I would like to have instead of loading screens for this game.
Right. I'll hear you.
Yeah, I think it should work almost like hotkeys. You should be able to do the hot swap thing. If I want, so that I don't have to go all the way into my inventory and find what I'm looking for and swap it out. That takes forever. And if you're in the middle of something, then you come out of your inventory screen dead.
Or give me a tablet version of the app that there's a screen specifically. It's just like your options screen. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So then I have, a landscape view and I can do a tap, 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 tap. That's fine. If you give me a second screen where I can do that, or use the second screen functionality of the PlayStation app, which is woefully underused, so and just enable that to always have your options screen. Are you fucking kidding me? Like, now I know there are some guys I play with that have kids that would get abused, but, tough shit. Cut the kid's hands off, whatever. I don't care. Put it in the cage. It doesn't matter. These are all options we have in this world, and we've already got examples of it. Like Battlefield's app is you can do weapon loadouts. You don't even have to be in the game to change your weapon loadout. Like, you can actually just be at work and be like, I'm going to try this when I get home. That kind of thing. You can interact, you can actually play the commander mode from the app without needing to be in game. The Watch Dogs app does that. Destiny already has, you can equip weapons from the screen, so before anyone says you can't do that, fuck you can absolutely do it. It's already being done. Do it. Do it. It needs to be done. These are simple fixes that are right there, and I think we're close to them. It sucks to be in the most expensive beta of all time, you know what I mean? Because by Destiny 2, we'll have all this shit. All this shit will be figured out. They're still trying to figure out what the fuck Destiny's gonna be. Because Bungie is very good about letting us know, like, we're not even sure what the fuck we're doing. Like, we're figuring it out, with you guys. Because there's a vision of what they thought they had on their hands, and then there's what actually has gone down.
Right.
Control.
It's interesting. I'll leave it at that. But
Time to fight.
I'm just ready for the next step, because I'm kind of like at that false start moment where you guys know, like, the way I play Destiny is very simple. I want to get what I want, and once I've got what I want, then to me, the true gameplay begins. That's when I can just do whatever I want without any hindrance from gear or weaponry. Like, I don't feel like I need something to accomplish something else. I don't have to swap as much or whatever, I had gotten the second Vanquisher 8, and I thought originally I was going to have 2 Vanquisher 8s. Then I really looked at the loadouts, and I said, no, this new one, not only does it have radar while aiming down the sights, but it also has agility. Like, I need that. In any situation I can think of where I would be using a Vanquisher 8, I need those perks. I don't want to have to worry about which one I have on me. I'd rather just have one, keep it at that. So then, the question becomes, well, what if because there's a few weapons that I probably wouldn't mind having duplicates of, but they're all exotic. And I've gotten 3 truths, 2 extra truths in the last 2 days. I sharded them both. Probably a dumb idea now that I think about it. Having the 3 patience and time, that was actually a really nice thing to have. But I don't really use it that much anymore, unless I'm on a Nightfall, and then I'm just going to use it. Icebreaker, kind of the same thing. So the more I talk about, maybe I should have some of the same, no, I really don't need it. I should just be cognizant of what I'm doing with my time and prepare for it.
Right.
What the hell's wrong with me? I'm a crazy person.
We're all crazy. We're playing Destiny, for God's sake.
Yeah, we are all playing Destiny right now, aren't we?
We are. I know we are.
Yep, I am logged in right now.
Yeah. I need 3 more control captures, and I'm so over this right now.
I haven't been doing anything that requires me to pay a whole lot of attention. But yeah, I am playing.
Well, Crucible technically requires you to pay attention, but I'm just not paying attention. I want certain things, and I want it now. I want what I want when I want it now. And what I want are... God damn it. Why is it First Blood kills today for the medals? Why can't I get the post-mortems? I've done like 6 of them this match alone. Which really just says that I've been placing grenades, but running in where Angel's Shield is tread. So I'm not sure what that says about me.
You're just crazy. That's all.
Well, yeah, that's true. They have to fix that fucking card. Every time I kill a hunter in the Crucible, it says, Crucible kills as a hunter, and I get these points go up. I'm not a hunter killing them right now. I'm a Titan killing them. I'm killing hunters. That's what's happening right now. Fuckers. I mean, congratulations. Go let our heroes rest. Now our heroes rest now. Whatever the fuck that Ghostbusters ending is. Now I'm crossing podcast. Confragurations, that's right. It was something about go our heroes must rest for it to be a thing and stuff. I don't remember what it was exactly, but it was something.
Elizabeth.
Right. Elizabeth? That sounds like a horrible name for a large woman.
Well, I know Bennett would get it if he knew what I was talking about.
I don't remember what you're talking about.
It's a Homestar thing.
Oh, I must not have seen that one.
Deadly style,
Apparently
Chugga
they're
Chugga
making a
Wugga.
comeback.
Dentist, Chugga Chugga Wugga.
Zone A.
No, no one remembers the heavy metal, strong band.
Enemy
Nothing.
captured Zone A.
No. Sorry.
Not as such, no.
You can keep trying. Okay.
No.
So,
Now that I've made that awkward and stupid. Yeah, maybe that's what we should call the podcast. Awkward and stupid.
Awkward and stupid.
Damn.
Or we should have a counter in the bottom. Jim's awkward and stupid moments.
Yeah.
Killing zone count.
It has been 0 minutes since Jim's last.
it's not an
Zone A
episode, though, it's just a
neutralized.
counter.
Yeah.
It's not episode
Jim may
400.
have said himself 20 times this episode.
All zones held. You have
Jim has made a reference or a point from a previous podcast 17 times this episode.
enemy captured
Jim
zone
Jim
forgot.
lives in the past this much.
That's true. I do. There was this time last week when I did live in the now. What are you doing right now? Fucking, you know. Well, the thing is, alright, the other podcast Grant and I do is called the Isometric Perspective, which has kind of forced me to tell old stories, which I excel at, I think.
Yeah,
But
you do.
But I tell the same ones over and over and over. And I don't mean to.
That's right, you're just senile.
Zone B.
I kinda am. I
Zone
kinda
B
am.
lost.
Damn.
Captured Zone B.
What the fuck? I thought I had 3 fucking... one more, really? Alright, we better... Okay, we got 6 minutes. I can get one more control capture out of this bitch. That's all I want. Give me a goddamn capture, for fuck's sake.
Zone C lost.
And I'm not being selfish because it's my stream that's going on, that's the podcast, so this makes sense. This is contextual, goddammit.
Zone C.
Well, kind of back on subject, one of the things that I am really hopeful for is that they will listen
Zone A
to suggestions
Heavy
like
ammo
this that are
inbound.
done in formats like this that I know
Zone
that
A
people
secure.
see. They have to, otherwise, you know, how would some of the suggestions actually get implemented into the game? Somebody's
Ammo
paying attention.
available.
Yeah,
I hope that they
and
continue to pay attention and continue to implement things that people suggest to fix things that people say aren't working, you know, and that kind of thing, because that's what will keep people from getting fed up with things and quitting.
I do think that Bungie's been very vocal about that, and I think it is a matter of, like you say, consistency. Even if it's just perceptual consistency, I think they're doing it. It's just a question of does the fan base, you know, perceive that they are doing that. That's almost as important, if not more important, than the actual changes.
Zone B.
Oh, you gotta be fucking kidding me! I missed that capture because I was jumping. That is so fucking stupid. Oh my god. I was the one that captured it, and then the guy came in and got, I'm gonna punch you in the face, Clean Z, or C-Bone, or whatever the fuck your name is. I can't read. Oh my god, I just want one fucking... Oh, we're gonna go into another match now. Thanks a lot, guys. Thank you so much for stealing my fucking...
Well, if it makes you feel better, when I was about level 4 and running around on, whatever level I was when I hit the moon, and running around on the moon, I was constantly running into Blades of Crota. Now, cannot find a single one.
I can tell you exactly where they are, but it requires you buy the DLC.
I have it.
Oh, you do have the DLC? I didn't know that.
Yeah, I have the Dark Below.
Oh, you just have to be level 24 to unlock it. Shit. Well, Blades of
I am
Crota...
24.
Oh, well, actually, I think you're a little bit older than that, but we're not going to discuss that. Where you want to go... you want to go to Fist of Crota, and as soon as you get to Fist of Crota, you just haul ass past Omnigul, that screaming cunt that is good for nothing but soothing a burning vagina.
Seriously.
Right. I don't have time to explain.
Please fire
I don't have time to explain why
Drescher
it works, just...
as Omnigul.
Right. So anyway, once you go past her, you go down in there, and just go through the building and follow it. The first enemy you'll come to is 3 acolytes, and a blade of Crota appears every time, without fail.
Huh.
That's how I do. That's how I do all of my blade bounties. That's how I do, and then after that is a lot of really predictable patterns for Thrall, and that's how I do. So what I do is I grab the hunt blades and then kill with blades or any melee bounties and do them all at once, because you can get like 4 bounties in about 8 minutes if you're being slow.
Yeah.
That's how I level up weapons in a day. Because 3 characters.
I think it's more because of that.
Shh, 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 shh. No.
Not that I am any better or one to talk.
Well, I'm kind of the one that kind of bullied you into doing 3 warlocks. I'll take full responsibility for that.
You definitely did bully me into doing it. You were like, hey, you need to get more strange coins. And I was like, I definitely need more strange coins.
Well, you know, an easy way to do that would just be if you just stuck with one thing. The reason, and okay, let's come clean right here on the inaugural episode of the podcast.
Oh, God.
When I was doing the beta, and I was talking to Grant about it, I had said that initially I wanted to do all different characters. I liked the idea of having different playsets. And Grant was the one that told me flat out, he says, you will get to a point where you will commit to one class. It's going to happen. You know, and when you're there, you'll know it. And it became Titans. You know, simple as that.
Yeah, I have not, because what I originally had thought up that I would do is, you know, play the first character for a while, try out another class, play that one for a while, and then try out the final class and see which one that I like the best. And I really, like, Warlock just really doesn't appeal to me at all. And the way that the Hunter is done in this particular game doesn't really appeal to me. So I would rather just go with, like, the brute force.
Well, yeah, the fucking Hunters are way too UP. You know, they're just...
Exactly. If you're going to be a melee class like that, and I'll use your favorite new phrase that you've learned, your DPS should be ridiculous face to face. If that's what you're meant to do, that's the way that it should be, and it's not.
No. Well, the Hunter, the DPS is just fine. It's their ability to take DPS. That's the problem. They're OP when it comes to their super. Blade Dancers, fuck them. Fuck Blade Dancers in the ear with the biggest oak tree you can find. Okay? Alright? They are...
Noted.
However, when it comes to taking damage, it's stupid. It's like prison. They can give it, but they can't take it, and it's embarrassing for them. Yeah, I said prison. What? Whatever. Like, oh my god, Jim, shut up, the prison. But, you know, whatever.
I don't want to know how you know that.
I've watched Oz, haven't you?
No.
Oh. We'll look it up.
Are you sure you weren't in Oz?
No, I'm pretty sure I was. I've been in jail. Been in jail once, and it was nothing like Oz. The buttermilk biscuits were dry, but that could have been just because I was hungover. But whatever. And all of the scrubs that they make you wear, they smell simultaneously like vomit and bleach. That was my jail experience.
Delicious.
Good chat.
Yes. But speaking of jail, I feel imprisoned by a lack of customization options in Destiny, and I really hope that I can bring any point into another one. Ask anyone that's ever listened to Isometric Perspective, dude. It's bad. Like, I can bring anything around, and I know that it gets on everyone's nerves, and I'm okay with that. I don't mind.
Would you say you need to go so far as to have the Fallen break you out of the prison of elders?
File it.
Yeah, file it. File it. Yeah, I don't know. I think, see, I think I'm following the opposite kind of progression in how I use my characters, because I had initially only had the Warlock. and I was content just playing my Warlock, and eventually was getting more interested in, okay, this Titan looks really fucking cool, like, let's try it, playing that through a little bit, checking it out, okay, and then it got down to yes, I also want more strange coins, and added the Hunter to the mix, and now it's like, I can't wait to play my Hunter, and my Warlock can just kind of hang out, and my Titan can hop in whenever he's ready, and, like, it's very much okay, who do I want to, what sort of playstyle do I want to have today? And I can adjust to that, or maybe I'm not so much the Hunter playstyle today, maybe I need to switch it up. I don't know, and I still get the benefits as far as being able to stockpile on the weekly or daily earned materials, so that's cool. The only downside I found so far is the class-specific materials just don't pile up.
Either class-specific materials or the, class-specific armors, stuff like that. Because all of a sudden your 27 or so strength towards 3 class. Which, granted, eventually we're going to get to the point where those 27 strange coins are going to turn into 500 strange coins, and then you're looking and going, well, damn, I've got all the armor possible for one class, this expansion. Now I've got all these strange coins that I don't need, so let me go and have a different class. So I think it's just a matter, in a way, of playstyle based on how patient you are to end up getting that equipment. And originally I was totally content just having a single character and getting 9 a week. Now at this point I'm like, there is way too much exotic gear and legendary gear in this game to truly only have one character, period. If there's actually anything I think they need to address, I would actually go so far as to say it's that. The simple fact that you almost need to have 3 characters to effectively gain all of the bonuses possible for the week. Have it so we get them 3 times per account instead of needing to have 3 characters. To me, that makes sense.
I can see that. And apparently I'm the only one that can see that. Okay, good.
Yeah, I can see it. I just think I think your point as far as how patient you can be to get that next set of gear, that next piece of exotic armor or what have you, is kind of the big point that you have to come to terms with. I know that most of us run exotic helmets. I've had no issue at all stumbling into legendary gear for other classes when they hit 20. My Titan took a little bit of time, but that's because he was brand new. When my Hunter turned 20, she was 28 within a second. Just had to put that other gear on. It was not an issue, and there were, I think now I had to play over the course of the bounties and just doing a set of strike playlists, like a full week's worth. I was able to get a replacement helmet, a legendary replacement helmet, so I could grab the arms. What were they? The Ruin Wings? That I found doing some run, then decided I wanted to use. Like, it is a balance, but I don't think it's anything that should prevent anybody from running all 3.
Right.
And there's definitely advantages to either approach. I am willing to bet that eventually, on a long enough timeline, like when I know that all the DLCs have been announced or whatever, I know exactly what I'm going to do. Provided they allow you to take over, all 3 characters into Destiny 2. Once I've got everything I need for as high a level as possible for Titans, guess what? I will delete Misty and Banshee, spoilers, the Titan version, dismantle everything, and then start frantically leveling up a hunter and a warlock in the original game. That'll be my end game between Destiny 1 and 2. You know what I mean? And I get to do everything all over again to a certain degree. I got no issue with that, because by then, I mean, give it to you this way. Because Azura has been such a fuck, I have 93 strange coins. And that's just in the last week and a half.
Right.
So, shit happens.
Absolutely.
But I think that we've kind of run the gamut of what we're going to talk about this week. So, I don't know how often we're going to do this. All I know for certain is that we're going to do it. So, thank all of you for joining. On behalf of the rest of the podcast, for Karma Wolf and Bennett Fiasco and Mr. Grant Beard, I'm Grindhead Jim saying, hey, be fucking greedy and lazy. Good night.
Good night.
That's exactly right. I don't know much about how to end a podcast, but I'm pretty sure that was the worst one I've ever done. Good night.